it is important to understand what the law of the One means. We talk about it in the abstract, knowing that there is one source, and most of us hoping, many of us knowing, that we will return to the One. But the law of the One has many extensions. Most of all, it implies unity. It implies that we are truly one. However, we may divide our attention and interests in this world. We are governed by a greater force. Call it life. I can't address each one's beliefs here individually, but in that life is a principle of divinity or eternity. If you do not believe in divinity, that inspires us, and that is a force of good and beauty, and ultimately perfection. And perhaps the most important thing for us on the path is to apply this law of the One to our everyday activity. What does that mean, very concretely? It reminds us that all the energies that we draw forth, the power to think, to do, to feel, it comes from the same source. And that we are responsible because we create with that source. We create our worlds, our everyday reality, and our relationships with one another. And in that law of the One, there is no limitation. It is immaterial. It is transmaterial, I should say. So as we are told in some circles, as the ancients, the real ancients, ourselves as the origin of humanity and creation, a thought is a mandate. It's a fiat. So you need to watch your thoughts, and you need to watch your desires. Wherever there is a limitation, it is because you are not in the law of the One. And then a limitation, which is like an obstacle on the course, which is created by the entire humanity, is not really a limitation. It's an obstacle that does not limit your capacity to generate or to receive. And that's what it's all about, the flow of giving and taking, the breath. Always remember the law of the One and the breath. You cannot breathe out without breathing in, and vice versa. It's the rhythm of the spheres. It's the rhythm of the stars. It's the rhythm of shining. It's the rhythm of life. So be aware. Take your thoughts back to the principle of the law of the One every day and every moment. Before, or maybe even after you're lost. You get lost in the world of ideas and in your everyday doings and dealings. Take a few moments. Make a little trick for yourself to remember the law of the One. And then in the position of administrator of this law of the One is you, is your attention. And we have been studying, and we have been making a very, very, very deep and serious reality check on each one of us. Where we are, what have we done with our lives? What have we done with this precious material, these energy bodies? How are we administrating them? Because we are, even if we say we don't know. Even if we never think about it. Our inattention is managing a survival modality. A reactionary modality. Following these thoughts that come from everywhere except you, which are the collective consensus, the desires, the attractions, the fascinations. Responding to all of that, acting upon all of that, as if it were real, and getting joys out of the accidental aspect of life. Do you realize that most of the joys of humanity, because pleasure and joy, are given through this accidental modality? You never know when it's going to happen. So it happens, it's like a surprise, and that's called pleasure. And then it wanes. You wait for the next thing that will provoke that attitude in you, as if you lived an accidental world and reality. When in truth your inattention is calling for all of these triggers and running your life. Things do not just happen. I am sorry to say. I wish they did. Wash our hands. Or in the mistaken belief of karma, whatever excuse. Things do not just happen. You are a ready, open channel and receiving impressions and managing your energies all the time. You are the center of the atom. You are the I am. You are the personal focus of consciousness that manages your energy fields. Now I know this video is going to go out there, and many people who don't know our vocabulary, they say, now what is that? It's just very simple. You create your world every moment. In our work, we now analyze, we study the kinds of energy fields that we create and how we manage them. And you here before me now know how to do this. So it's much greater the effect when you don't. When you're not home. When you're not there. The results of these things that happen, and you don't know how, or you don't know why. So please begin to take responsibility. I'm speaking to you, my group, and in the hopes that we can also inspire people out there who are unable to be here and study with us to assume their power, their attention, to live the law of the one. I am here in this moment, what I have always been in eternity, this clear focus of consciousness. Find it. In the turmoil of your thoughts, find it. And that manages, and that decides, that determines the quality that you give unto everything. You may say, oh, but the sunset creates an emotion in me. It's not the sunset, you are the sunset. It's a nice game to feel that we're being possessed and done to. Oh, such and such a person's love ignites me. Because you allow yourself to be one with that person. At that moment, you're open and receptive. Everything happens because you want it to happen. It's another way of looking at it. This is how also you create your world, by doing nothing and allowing the world to impinge upon you, and then creating dependencies. You are freedom. You are this vastness and this very, very small, minuscule drop of consciousness of the one in you. You are everything. So living life every day and all its problems is like walking a tightrope. But you are the walking, you are the rope, and you are what attracts. You are the field that attracts what happens there. Your only control is over yourself and this consciousness of the one in you. If you know that you are one with this, nothing can ever harm you. Nothing can ever control you. And nothing is impossible. Because you also know measures. You're not going to be greedy and say, I want money, 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 money. Or I want prestige, or I want this, or I want that particular partner. These things do not matter. But they come. And they appear. And if you're ready, and you're willing to dance, because then in the law of the one there is the dance. The law of the one isn't just ascetic. If you're living the law of the one, and I'm living the law of the one, we dance. We're down here on earth. That's what we incarnate for. It's part of the rewards. Without losing ourselves. So in your successes, in your manifestations, we have quite a few here who are manifesting beautiful things and projects in your life, in your partnerships, in your family. You're feeling happy. Be grateful. Love just multiplies the love, but don't lose yourself in that either. Because when you leave this world, you leave the same way you came. Alone. You can leave alone in lack and regret, or you can leave alone all one as you arrived. It's up to you. Thank you.